Hello everyone, my name is Gracious Sonia Helam and I'm super excited to be sharing my technical assessment of projects 1 through 5 that I have successfully conducted and carried out. I also narrated the steps and processes that I used to perform this project in a technical documentation which we'll be unveiling on the video. So let's get right into it by starting with Linux Proficiency Section 1. Let's go! Okay, so Section 1 Linux Proficiency. I began by installing AMA Linux 9.6 on my virtual machine. So very quickly I went to my technical documentation, which we'll be working together like I stated. But then there are two disclaimers here. Please click on each image to view its content very clearly. So what this means is, for example, this image, to view very clearly, you would have to click on it and then you see the content very clearly. Then also the next project I embedded at the end of the previous project for disclaimer number 2. So what this means is, this is currently project 1, section 1, Linux Proficiency. To view Docker Proficiency, you'd have to scroll down to the bottom of this page to view the Docker Proficiency for section 2. And then for section 2, it has the link to section 3 and it progresses like that, right? So let's get right into section 1. So section 1 says installing Amazon Linux 9.6. So what I did was I went to the VOD site here, the official site here, and I installed the DVD ISO image. This was what I installed, and the file size is quite very large, 11.11 gigabytes worth of space. I downloaded this file image because of it has the full package, binaries and dependencies that I needed to successfully carry out all my projects, which I did in the end. So once I had downloaded that, so let's go, I downloaded it on my browser. So if we go to my download history, you're going to see it here. Yes, so I downloaded it right there. So once I was sure that I finished downloading it, I went to check to be sure that I downloaded the accurate software. I had to operating system. I had to go to the official checksum page and verify the hash value for that image type that I downloaded. So as you can see here, this is DVD ISO file type that I downloaded, and this is the hash value. So if you check the first 4 digits, for example, DB7B, and then the last 4 digits, 2C82, when you check, when I noted that, I noted the number, I had to run, if we go back to my technical documentation, I had to use this command prompt on my PowerShell. Once I use this command prompts on my PowerShell, I ran PowerShell as an administrator, and then boom, it takes averagely a minute, 2 minutes to display because of the file size. So when I did that, I got this value. This hash value was outputted, and if you check, you would see that it matches clearly what is shown on the official documentation, DB7B, the first 4 digits, and then the last 4 digits, 2C82, which I also have right here in my official documentation here. Right, look at it. So yes, so once I was sure that the integrity of this operating system has not been tampered with, is not corrupted, I progressed to installing and configuring my network for bullet number 2 according to my section 1 task. So this is it right here. So once I pulled up my terminal machine, of course, before I did that, of course, I had to install my virtual machine. So what I did was I created a new virtual machine, and then I added the ISO file and all of that. So because I'd already done that, so I'm going to skip that. So once the installation was completed, as we can see from my documentation, yes, this was where the installation began, and then secondly, this was where it was completed. So once that was done, I progressed on to configuring my networking by setting up the static IP address and Google DNS settings. So what I did was I pulled up my terminal. So once I did that, I will go back to my documentation. I had to I had to output the IP, my current dynamic IP address, to see what IP address I'm on, and the subnet mask, as well as the network interface. So when I did that, this was the command line I used, IP address on my terminal, and then it displayed my network interface was running on ENS33, and the network the IP address was 192.168.10.128 with a subnet mask of /24. So because that I already have done this, so I'm just going to show my static IP address after configuration. I'm just going to show, so you can see my network interface is running on ENS33, and my IP address is, my static IP address is 192.168.10.128 with a slash notation of /24. Once that was done, I set up I use the NMCL CLI utility, which is the network manager command line interface, to set up my DNS. And while setting up my DNS, of course, I have to bring in internet into my virtual machine. So I had to set up my internet gateway, and I did a manual IP addressing assignment so that the DHCP does not automatically assign an IP address each time my virtual machine goes off and comes back on. So this was the command prompt that I used. These to set it up. So once that was done, these are proof of what I did. So once that was done, I progressed to my firewall. But however, I'm going to show proof of that. So I'm going to show that my DNS has been configured. This is proof that my DNS was configured. Yes, so this is it. And also my host name CTL is my static host name is Naxum server. I named my static to be Naxum server. Yes. So I also, going back to my technical documentation, yes, the next bullet point stated I should set up basic firewall configuration. So basic firewall is to allow SSH and, make sure that no open ports that no open ports are opened. Yes, I ensure that no ports are open. Sorry about that. Yes. So this was the prompt that I used to set up my basic firewall configuration. So unless you have to explicitly give rules and permissions before any port or any rule can be allowed in. So this was it. So I'm going to show proof of that on my virtual machine. So this I'm going to show proof of that by putting my password. So you see my firewall is running, is active. So I'm going to show you my firewall rules that I set up. I'm listing all my firewall rules. So as you can see, my network interface is running on ENS33, and these are the services that I allowed, and there are no ports that are opened. Like I mentioned, there are no opened ports. There are no ports opened. No protocols are opened. I will only explicitly grant permission to any ports or to any protocols that I want, and yes to forwarding, because I want access to the internet. I want communication to happen, right? So next, I updated, and back to the documentation, once I was done, I updated my server, my virtual machine. I updated it here. So this was where I updated it. So once the update was completed, I rebooted my server. my virtual machine. I did sudo reboot. Right, so thereafter, to complete section number 1, I installed Docker. So I used the Yum utility package manager to install Docker. So this was the commands that I used, the bash commands that I used to install Docker. So these are images that I attached as well. After that, I progressed to running a basic Docker image to confirm the success that I have installed Docker. I did the run hello sudo docker run hello world, and this was the output that was generated. As you can see here, you can see hello from Docker. This message shows that your installation appears to be working correctly. So now I'm finally going to show proof of that by saying Docker version to see if Docker is currently running. So yes, as you can see here, my Docker has been installed, and that is the end of project section 1. Thank you.